So I did this planter, and then I did this little planter over here. We painted the wall. I still got to finish that. Now I got to focus on what's between them. This little middle part, this little island. It's not an island, river. I don't know. This little walkway. And so I had this idea to do these playing cards, like boop, 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 on the ground. And I was going to cut out some hearts and diamonds and green clovers and yellow stars and everything that goes on playing cards. Make up some little molds and pour some concrete in them. But, and here's the thing is I got the CNC. And I'm thinking, well, that's a CNC project now, because instead of just making boring regular cards, I could do face cards. I could do better, things than I would just lazily cut out myself, or get even lazier and go to like Joann's and just find a bunch of little craft hearts and stuff. Anyway, so that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I did. I'm filming this part after the fact so I can let you guys know what's going on. All right, so what do we got to do? We got to make molds. We got to make molds for the concrete. It's really all we're doing in its simplest form. 1 million people in the world have done this. I should be able to. Now, if you're pouring concrete, you can just take a mold and do the top of it, kind of stamp it out and make like decorative. That's a little different. This one, the decorative side, is on the bottom, so it's there, and then we pour the concrete over it and let it harden. So whatever we cut on the CNC is actually going to be a negative. So the high points after the cut are going to be the low points in the concrete later, I think. And then because it's a mold, we also have to reverse the image when we're done with the whole thing, so that when it pours, the letters and numbers are correct, that kind of a thing. So I started out, I went online, I found some clip art of different card properties, but you can't just take a picture and throw it in there, because a lot of the art you find online, when you blow it up, the lines aren't great, it's not a fantastic quality. But what it did allow me to do was, say you got the playing card on there, that's a good spacing template. It's good spacing for other stuff. So then say I get the queen of hearts in there, and then I can draw or find a better heart, replace it up here, do some lines. I took a lot of the cards and I would put them on the iPad and redraw a lot of the lines, and then I would swap them from black to white, so that when I took that image and put it into easel, I could then decide which lines were things or which lines were going to be reversed, and do heights and stuff that way. There was a lot of pre-production work. I got a little better at it the more I did, I think. Anyway, now we gotta cut some wood. Now the wood is 15 by 19 and a half are the pieces I cut, and giving a border for when I assemble the molds. That ended up making each piece about 13 and a half by 17 3/4, which worked out. I used 1/2-inch plywood. It's the basic plywood for a lot of the cards, a lot of the basic cards. But I found that the face cards and the stuff with a lot more detail came out a lot better when I used the Baltic birch plywood. This is some stuff I had. It's a little thicker than 1/2 inch. Not actually sure what size it is, but it is a little more expensive, but it's a lot less post-production time. Cleaning it up and fixing little gouges and fill holes and problems with the lesser quality wood. Yeah. Now remember, at this point, I am still just at the beginning stages of learning the machine and the software and all sorts of things. And I'm going to say right out, the guys at CNC Labs, Longmill guys, you guys are rock stars. Their customer service is fantastic. They're emailing me back and forth like clockwork every morning. I'm asking questions. I'm sending them pictures and videos. What's going on? What am I doing wrong? Is this hardware? Is this software? Is this, ID 10T error? And they were great. They really are. They genuinely want you to succeed, and they'll help you. The guys are great. Anyway, for me, there was a slight learning curve. I did have some issues. There was issues with cutting height. There was issues with the height of the router slowly sinking throughout the thing, and the motor not pulling it back up strong enough. There was a couple other things. I ended up cutting down into the table at one point. I cut through a couple of boards. I burned up a couple other routers back there. That's my wall of shame. I did learn a lot. I learned a lot. Alright, so the spot where it dug too deep and it messed up on this one, I went over with some Bondo, and then I went back in the program and I drew some boxes around everything and raised them up to 0, so the only thing left to carve was the face again. And then I had it re-carve the face, and you can see it came out great. It went right down to the level it was supposed to. It fixed all the lines in here that were messed up. So I'm glad I was able to fix that face, and I didn't have to, throw away the whole rest of the mold, because it was a long time to make that one. So I'll give this a light sanding across here, and then we'll go on to the next step. So the cuts on the molds, I wanted everything to be able to be seen and be good height difference and cut in, but I didn't want it so deep that it would become a trip hazard, because they are supposed to be walked on. So I went just a little under a 1/4 inch max depth on some of the more intricate ones. Some of the thinner lines, they didn't cut as deep. And the big open cuts, just enough to where I think they'll be safe. Now, the overall thickness of these stepping stones, I was thinking about 2 inches. This 1/4 inch depth is actually going to be raised on the final ones. So I subtract a 1/4 inch, I end up with 1 3/4 for the side height for when I pour these. And for the sides, I'm just using this MDF strips I cut out of some old shelving boards that I had. They got this kind of laminate on the side, and I didn't know what to do with them, and I'm not going to use them for shelves anymore. Or they might have been from an old shelving cabinet thing that was kind of smashed up, but I thought I might be able to use the wood someday. So hey, I did. So that's what the sides are. Steak. So I did it. I got the first molds done. All right, next step is to pour the concrete. I get them out back and mix up some concrete. I was using, what am I using? There's different ones you can use. There's different concretes, and there's different things suggested to me that would be better or worse for this kind of project. I ended up using Quickcrete topping mix. I used it because it's very fine and it doesn't have the big gravel mixed into it, and because I wanted this stuff to go down and have a nice finish in the bottoms of the molds where the detail was, that's what I went with. I wasn't sure originally, but having finished the project now and actually walked on them and everything, they seem pretty strong. So if you know a better one that I should have used, well, you can tell me now. I have already done them. Oh wait, I gotta tell you the rest of the story. So yeah, mixed concrete, poured the concrete in the first two, mushed it down in there nice, kind of tapped on the sides of the molds a little bit, and got it to settle good, and let it dry. And in my mind, I was doing everything right. Okay, it's been a week. The first set that I did, I thought was going great. A few hours into it, they had a big crack because I'm dumb, and everything I've learned about doing concrete with the wall in the backyard and everything like that, I forgot. My brain was stuck in, hey, let's try this and see what happens mode. And I let it dry too fast. It was hot and windy that day, and the concrete cracked and whatnot. So I cleaned out the molds, tried to redo them, and this time I covered them up with plastic, and you could see moisture in there, and it's been a week. So now I'm gonna undo the take two, and we'll see how it goes. Here they are on the floor. Okay. Let's see. Right, see you. I had some of this half-inch wire mesh left over from when I made that grate that I was sanding sifting all the dirt in the backyard for the rocks and stuff, and I filled these halfway, and I used a palm sander, which was advice from Izzy at work. Thanks, Izzy. To vibrate the concrete in, and then I laid a piece of the wire in, kind of reinforced it a little bit. I don't know if it'll help or not, but I did it, and then I filled it up the rest of the way. That's what I did on these. Yes. Ooh. Ooh, it's got like a new concrete smell. Check it out. Now, if you look really closely, there are some little bubble pinholes in it still. But concrete got into all the little nubs for the most part. This was the second time I used the mold, so it wasn't quite as exact as the first. I cleaned it up as best I could. But look at that. As a stepping stone, paver stone in the yard, that's going to be great. There's one spot here that got cut lower than the rest, and I'm going to have to grind that down because it's higher now than the rest of the card. But her face, I mean, geez, from a few inches away, that's playing card right there. Yes! Oh, that's good looking. All right, I'm happy. You can't see it in this shot. What am I doing? There it is. All right, let me put this on a thing, and then we'll get to the other one. Okay. Let's turn you over. I can't remember which one this one is. Is this 10 of hearts? There we go. Can you see? Yeah, let's just... Hello. Okay, this one is 10 of hearts. And... what is that? I think that's some of the Bondo I used to fill. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. Check it. And then that was the process for a couple of months. I would do a couple a week, or I would spend a few days, a couple hours before work. I would do a cut. The next day, the finished cut. Couple more days, do like 2 molds, then spend one morning with the clear coat and do the sides and prep them to go, and then the next morning or wait for my day off, and I would put a couple of them on the floor and and pour them, and then they would sit for a week while I did the next ones, and that's how it went on. Let me just take a quick second and apologize for the light quality of the shots over here. And if anybody out there knows how I can fix this, please tell me. Here's the journey so far. Is I've gone through 4 separate LED lights, and I can't get rid of this problem. We first moved in, I had all the garage lights. I bought a bunch of these LEDs, boom, 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 and then they did this thing, and it's the frequency of the LEDs versus the frame rate or setting in the camera. And I've gone through all the settings in the camera, I've gone through all the rates, I've gone online, I've looked up things, I've gone down this rabbit hole, and I can't seem to fix it. Anyway, I thought, I bought cheap lights. My fault. I'll buy some better ones. They did the same thing. I ended up on the shop side over here, just going back to fluorescence over there. But when I did that, I didn't yet know I was putting table over here. And now they're getting harder and more expensive to find. They're being phased out. Everybody's LED now, which is fine with me, except that. So then I ended up getting this one, which if you just point the camera at it, it doesn't make the little dark lines. But then when you go back and review the footage, or if you do something fast motion, you still see them. I'm like, So, I don't know. If you know, and the second lights I got were even in a YouTube video of a guy I saw, and he put them up he had a whole big barn workshop, and he had a ton of them, and his videos looked great, and I can't seem to fix it. Maybe I need a more expensive camera with better settings. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. After I put the sides on, I had some of this old water-based polyurethane from I think the kitchen shelves or something. And I thought, well, I'll use this to coat the wood. That way the concrete won't soak into it as much. And I thought they'd be better molds that way. So I did a couple quick coats of that, let it dry, and then the molds are basically finished. One, 2, 3. So it's mostly the same thing over and over again. Cut out the mold, sand it a little bit, prep it, fill it, wait a while, undo it. If you're the kind of person who has problems finishing projects, like you've always kind of got something else going on, I feel your pain. This one's stretched out for a couple of months now. Doing a few of these things a week, and then the other issues I was having. It's gone on for a while. I'm kind of ready for it to, compressor, kind of ready for it to be done. But I still got a lot else to do. I still got to prep the backyard for these. I got to order the gravel. Yeah, there's some things. Alright, so if I lived in a place with like normal dirt, normal grass, you just cut out around your thing and kind of sink it in deep enough so you could probably mow around it, something like that. But here, with this concrete dirt, palm seeds, what I'm doing is making sure there's no big rocks right underneath it poking up. I don't want it to teeter and have something to crack on. And then put down a little bit of sand just so it has a nice even bed to sit on. And the idea is that, yeah, a big rain might come and wash some of the sand away, but by then it's going to soften the ground a little bit, and any rocks or big stones that are underneath there, they're gonna sink in a little bit. So get it all in nice around the edges. And again, that's just so they're sitting flat. They're not going to crack, teetering over something hard in the ground. And eventually they'll settle in on their own.
This has been a great project. It's been going on all summer, yeah, but I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out. Joan loves it, which is, you know, the best part. All her magician friends all think it's super cool. That makes me feel good. One thing I don't think I showed in the video is that after I laid them out, before I did all the gravel and set them into place, I did seal them with some concrete sealer. I put it in the sprayer and hit them underneath. I did like 2 coats on the sides and the top, kind of give them a little bit of protection there. And now that they are in place, I've been walking on them, and they feel solid. I had the wheelbarrow going over them with the rocks and stuff, and the end, and they didn't crack or anything. So I think they're pretty strong. If any of this is interesting to you and you want to do this, if you got any questions that I didn't cover in the video, please let me know. Just anything there in the comments, questions. I'll try and get back to you. The oasis is coming together. This side of the yard is looking good. That side of the yard is still construction zone. I'm not sure what's going to happen over there yet, if it's going to happen over this winter or next summer. Just got to keep coming up with stuff. I got to finish this wall. We got to stop right before the tree back there, because before I can do anything along that back wall, I got to dig down and fix all the blocks that are along the ground line, the dirt line, because they're kind of deteriorated just like this wall was. So it did make sense to go ahead and do a bunch of landscaping back there if I'm just going to have to dig it up. So that's where it stops. We still got a big mountain of dirt over there I got to take care of, but slowly but surely, that's what it's all about. Thanks for watching Uncle Benny's Garage. If you made it this far, hey, give me a like if you remember. It really helps out a lot. And thanks again for watching. Cheers.